Thank you, Jason. That was beautiful. That's one of my favorite folk songs, The Water is Wide. Isn't that lovely? Hello, and welcome. Welcome is very important to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Door County. And to present a welcome, I wish to read Wholeness by Sharon Wiley. Wholeness. We speak so often of brokenness in religion. Let us speak today of wholeness. You are welcome here, all of you, every part of you, here, all of you. Beautiful, just the way you are. Here, you do not need to be something more or something less. No holding back, no hiding, no exerting yourself, no trying to do more or be more. You have inherent worth and dignity. Nothing to prove here, nothing to prove to me or the person sitting next to you or to the children or to anyone. You don't have to try to be witty or more quiet or more outgoing. You are beautiful. Every part of you beautiful just the way you are. You do not need to change anything about yourself to be welcome here. Your skin, your hair, your belly, your limbs, your face, all beautiful, just the way they are. You are extraordinary. Each and every one of you different from each and beautiful in your own beautiful way. Breathtaking. Let us worship together. Yes, welcome to everyone in person here and online. Hi, guys. My name is Cindy Steele, and I'm your service leader today. UUFDC envisions a world empowered by reason, compassion, and love. Now, it's our custom to invite guests or people who haven't been here for a while to stand and introduce yourselves. If there is anyone who wishes to do that, please feel free. You can stand or not to introduce yourself.
I'm Ruth.
Hi, Ruth.
And Bob's from St. Charles, Illinois, just up for the weekend. Bob has a new puppy, as many of you know.
Yes.
I have a 2-year-old dog that's supposed to be modeling good behavior.
Yes.
We'll see how that goes.
A long way to go.
A long way to go, yes. Puppies are a lot of work. Ruth, thank you for coming. Anybody else? Okay, thank you so much. If you have questions about UUFDC or Unitarian Universalism in general, please speak with the people at the welcome table. They will be happy to answer your questions. Also, please sign the guest book so that we can send you our newsletter. After service, enjoy coffee and tea in the gathering room, which is right through the foyer. After a few minutes, you will hear some chimes calling you back into this space over here, and we'll have more time with our speaker, Alan. There are announcements printed on the backs of your orders of service. So let me draw your attention to that. Are there any other announcements from the floor relating specifically to UUFDC? And the mic will be brought to you by our magnificent Terry Good, who seems to be the official mic holder for many years now.
Good morning, Bruce Nelson, and I have an opportunity for whoever's interested. Today, a nice, bright, sunny day is the time of year where you change the angles on our solar panels in our backyard. So I need 2 volunteers. It takes 15 minutes and we'll be done. Probably have your cup of coffee and a treat, and then we'll go shortly after that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cindy Nelson, and this is on the back order of service, but for those of you who didn't volunteer for my husband, you can volunteer for me, because we are packing the Thanksgiving boxes in the back meeting room. We're all set up, and I think it will take 10, 15 minutes is all, but if there are a few helping hands, that would be appreciated. Thanks. Again, have your coffee and then come back. Thank you.
Any other announcements? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Terry. Please quiet all of your noise-making devices. And if you can, please disconnect your devices from our UU Wi-Fi. It makes streaming easier if it's just streaming, that is, using our Wi-Fi. It is my pleasure, distinctly, to introduce our speaker, Alan Kapishke. He is a member of this fellowship and a theater educator at UWGB. He is a wonderful actor who has graced many of the stages here in Door County and beyond. We had the pleasure of being on stage together when he narrated a voice recital at Birch Creek. He is the best of collaborators. Thanks, Alan, for presenting this message. Thank you. It is with beauty, inclusion, acceptance, perseverance, and abundance that I light this chalice. Now please stand as you are able for the hymn, and stay standing for the unison affirmation and the doxology. Now, the hymn is number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth, which is a very familiar hymn. So I'm encouraging you all to stand up nice and straight, hold up the music, and sing loudly and with conviction. Okay? All right.
Splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies. So for the kinship we all share, for the gentle thoughts and mild thoughts of all to thee we raise, this our hymn of grateful praise.
Say with me, please. We gather together to seek knowledge and wisdom, to explore freely the vast reaches of mind and spirit, to celebrate within a caring community those truths, ancient and modern, which give meaning and direction to our lives.
From all that dwell below the skies, let sons of hope and faith arise. Let peace, goodwill on earth be sung, in every land, by every tongue.
Thank you. Please be seated. That was beautiful singing, by the way. Now we're at joys and concerns. Sharing a joy lifts us all. Sharing a concern lightens the load. Please share. The mic again, Terry will bring you the mic.
I'm just joyful that last night at the auditorium there was a celebration honoring Pete Thieland, and the community was just great. It was a wonderful evening, and kinship, I think, is the word that we can use to describe it. Thank you.
Kinship. That's lovely.
I would just like to explain my shiner, just so you don't think I was in a bar fight. I was not. I fell and hit my face down by the hardware store downtown, and it did not hurt me other than bruise me. So I'm still here.
Yay.
As with most of life, today I bring a joy that's mixed with a concern. When I read earlier this week about the 6 politicians who had put out a video about the illegal warnings, I didn't think much of it. I was in the military 21 years. When I heard the president's response, I was shook. I could not begin to count how many times in my 21-year career I got up in front of a group of people and said exactly what those 6 politicians said. New Air Force members, Air Force cadets when I taught at the academy, Air Force faculty member, government officials from the United States and from our allied nations. Literally, countless times I've stood before groups of people, from a dozen to hundreds, and explained to them the law of this country since its inception. No military member should ever follow an illegal order. It's an old lawyer's trick. When you feel the emotions starting to creep in, drink. Every member of our military has a duty to refuse every unlawful order. So yeah, I'm guilty of sedition in the president's eyes. In my president's eyes, I should be hanged. I was shook this week. That was my concern. My concern extended because hundreds of people overnight answered my post that said what I just told you and told me, yes, I should be killed. hundreds of my fellow citizens, over 350 messages met me when I woke up Wednesday morning. Most of them saying something along the lines of, yes, I was guilty of sedition, I should be killed. My joy, although it was tempered, my joy was that those 350 plus calls for my death were met with over 1,000 thumbs up to what I had to say. But you know what tempered it? There was not a single positive comment. Not a single person who agreed with me took the time to stand up and say something. It's easy for us to give a thumbs up to folks, and it's important that we do that. But boy, I tell you, when things are getting as tough as they're getting, we got to do more than a thumbs up. Thanks for letting me get a little bit off of my chest today.
I agree with you. Thank you so much for taking that stand. Thank you.
You were worth it. Everyone in this room was worth it.
Did everybody hear what he just said? He said everybody in this room was worth it. Thank you.
Cindy Nelson, I have a joy to share about Sandra Dirks. As most of you are aware, she had surgery on Friday. They removed part of her colon and some other areas around her colon. They are hopeful that they have gotten all of her cancer, but visiting with Rich, she is doing well. She will be in the hospital till Tuesday or Wednesday. We won't know the pathology report for some time, but she is in good spirits and doing well, and she'd love cards or texts. Right now, no visits, but I will keep you posted.
There was one, did you? No. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you, Terry. For the offertory, we do a lot of work in this congregation to benefit ourselves, of course, but as well as the larger community. And we're working very hard this year to assist the local food pantry and also with our 3 community partners. Please give generously, and gifts can also be made online at uufdc.org. As we prepare for a moment of quiet, let's give ourselves permission to release what we came in with that could interfere with our total presence here and now. For this moment, breathe, and quiet your thoughts. This morning's reading is A Recipe for Resilience by Margaret Weiss. This recipe has been tweaked over time, so adjust as necessary. Sometimes it yields more servings than anticipated. Sometimes it needs a bit more of this ingredient or that. It comes from generations who have gone before me, and I've added my own flavor along the way. A recipe for resilience. 1 part courage. 2 parts tears of failure and doubt. 1 part deep listening. 1 part each of both silence and laughter. A dash of trust. A pinch of wonder. A heaping scoop of naps and snacks. In a separate bowl, mix together family, friends, and those who challenge you to be your best self, and those with whom you disagree. Add slowly to the larger pot. Add a bay leaf for, well, whatever it is bay leaves do, and let simmer for as long as you need, which is often longer than you realize or anticipate. Keep the heat at an even temperature, not hot enough to cook throughout, but not so hot it burns the bottom. Can be served at room temperature, warm, or even cold if necessary. Serve alongside your favorite soft blanket, dog, cat, or other soft item. Make often. Share with others. Hold on to the leftovers. You'll need them after a long day that challenges your soul. And now, Alan Kapishke.
I'm going to start with this. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you for your welcome and for your grace and for your well-chosen words today and hymns. Jason, thank you for setting the sound of the environment today at a perfect pitch. Where's Sarah? Sarah, wherever you are, thank you for keeping all the plates spinning. And thank you all for being here. Thanks for your announcements and joys and concerns. Thank you. Is it Tom for your?
Tim.
Tim, sorry. Thank you, Tim, for your important comments. Dottie, I was there at the bar, but you can tell whatever story you want. I also want to thank a guy named Scott McPherson for writing a beautiful play called Marvin's Room. And I think I read this before years and years ago. But I thought it was really appropriate for today. In Marvin's Room, Bessie has long taken care of her father and her aunt with their variety of infirmities. And then she finds out that she's been diagnosed with cancer. And her sister is trying to comfort her. And Bessie says, "Oh, Lee, I've been so lucky. I've been so lucky to have Dad and Ruth. I've had such love in my life. You know, I look back, I've had such such love. And Lee says, they love you very much. But he says, no, that's not what I mean. No. I mean that I love them. I've been so lucky to have been able to love someone so much. And that's Scott McPherson. All right, so I am your theatrical sermon reader today. These are the words of the Reverend Dr. Sandra Fees, entitled Embodying Abundance on the Path of Being Grateful for the Whole Glass. She has a number of citations in here, and for the sake of the flow, I'm going to leave those out. And if you're interested in those citations, I'll provide those when we have our discussion back here after coffee and conversation. When life is going well, it's easy to speak of abundance. When we are happy, in love, employed well, healthy, things progress with a kind of ease and a sense of appreciation. But oh, those days when everything is falling apart, or when the world's suffering is too much with us. Those days can be hard to look around and see anything but mud puddles. Yet those are the very days, the very times that an appreciation for what we have is most needed. This approach to abundance is not about everything going right. Instead, it has to do with noticing in a new way. Consider this scenario. Life's led you into a puddle. Are you staring at your mud-covered feet? Are you ready to look up and notice that the wide-open sky never went away? So the point of living abundantly isn't that our feet aren't ever wet or mud-covered. It isn't that there aren't real dilemmas that we face, real struggles, or that the world would be just fine if everybody noticed that wide-open sky. Embodying abundance has to do with looking around to find that sky, to see what there is of beauty, and to really notice it and see it. That noticing holds the potential to be life-altering. The world won't be perfect as a result, but it will be better. This way of seeing has to do with recognizing the wide-open sky is already available to us, even in those mud puddle times. Writer Heidi Bahr points to this deep-seated and timeless spiritual wisdom when she asks, what if instead of seeing poverty, despair, pain, and cruelty in the world, we saw opportunities for growth, seeds of hope, room for healing and the sharing of compassion? What if we could truly embody abundance in every thought? When I first read that, I was alternately nodding my head yes and shaking my head no, because I feel passionately that we have an ethical responsibility to recognize and address suffering, privilege, violence, greed, and basic injustice in the world. Any consideration of living a spiritually abundant life can't ignore any of these. It just can't. And yet, Bahr is naming a powerful truth. When we see and experience abundance, then our ability to share it grows. Unitarian Universalist minister, the Reverend Angela Herrera, gets at a similar idea, also emphasizing the importance of embodying and sharing abundance. She writes, abundance is not about having what you want, but noticing what you have and multiplying it through sharing, multiplying it through your manner of being in the world. This brings to mind a wisdom story that I return to again and again. It is the story of two men who had been injured in combat in war. Both of them were quite ill. They had to remain quiet and calm. They shared a small hospital room which had one window and one door. One man's bed was near the window. He was permitted to sit up for an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon by the window. The other man had to spend all of his time lying flat on his back. There was no television or radio, so they talked for hours and hours, sharing their life stories. And every morning and afternoon, the man sitting at the window would recount the wonders, the glory that greeted him beyond the glass. He described a beautiful park with a blue lake where ducks and swans glided along. Children threw bread to the birds and sailed model yachts. Young lovers walked arm in arm beneath the full leafy trees. Beds of roses, dahlias, and marigolds bloomed in a bronze, gold, and crimson. In one corner of the park was a tennis court. Many days, lively tennis matches were being played. The man lying flat on his back relished these times. He found a way to appreciate what he already had. He actually lived for the morning and afternoon hours when the man sitting by the window would describe the world beyond. But then one day he grew resentful. And the resentment festered and grew and grew. He focused on what he didn't have, and he wondered to himself, why should the other man get to see these incredible sights? Why should he have the bed by the window? His resentment and desire for more consumed him. And then one night, the man whose bed was by the window awoke, coughing violently and choking. He tried unsuccessfully to reach the call button for the nurse. The other man didn't move. He kept his eyes closed as though sleeping. Eventually, the room was silent, and in the morning the nurses discovered the man by the window was dead. After allowing a respectable amount of time to pass, the man who had to remain flat on his back asked to be moved to the bed next to the window. And after he was moved and the nurses left, he hoisted himself up on one elbow. Moving caused him excruciating pain. It took all the energy he had, but he wanted just one look out that window with his very own eyes. Finally, hoisted up, he peered out the window. There before him, he saw a blank wall. Who hasn't wanted what another person has? Who hasn't ruined their own happiness by focusing on what they lack rather than what they have? Despite looking out and seeing a brick wall, one man was able to see beyond that wall, to see a vision of hope and life and beauty, and to share that vision. It isn't that he didn't see the wall. He just didn't let that wall contain him, define all of life for him. He allowed the world to come alive and to share it, to multiply it. How incredible to see through such eyes, to embrace the wide open sky. The other man, by focusing on what he didn't have, lost what brought him joy. The stories the other man told him and the companionship. The man whose bed was by the window lost his life, but so too did the other man. How different that story might have turned out had the man lying flat on his back looked for the abundance that already existed in his life. Quaker educator Parker Palmer encourages people to assume that at its core, the universe abounds with generosity and potential. He writes, "The quality of our active lives depends heavily on whether we assume a world of scarcity or a world of abundance. Do we inhabit a universe where the basic things that people need, from food and shelter to a sense of competence and of being loved, are ample in nature? Or is this a universe where such goods are in short supply, available only to those who have the power to beat everyone else to the store? The nature of our action will be heavily conditioned by the way we answer those bedrock questions. In a universe of scarcity, only people who know the arts of competing, even of making war, will be able to survive. But in a universe of abundance, acts of generosity and community become not only possible, but fruitful as well." When I heard Palmer's words, I can't help but think about how much those acts of generosity and community are needed right now. We need fruitful ways of sharing rather than stinginess and competitiveness. We need ways to reopen ourselves to beauty and gratitude, and to see not only the proverbial glass being half full, but also the whole glass. Just consider this story told by Chester Bennington. He was interviewed as part of Project Human, a documentary film capturing stories of the human condition. It's a story Bennington shared about his grandfather. He said, "The magic moment I had with my grandfather was right after my grandmother died. I went to go see him, and I knew he was hurting, but I wasn't sure what kind of state he would be in. And she was his partner 65 years, as well as his driver. I went to see him, and I said, 'Grandpa, how you doing?' And he said, 'Did you know that for $4 I can get a shuttle anywhere in the city?' I said, 'Wow, that's great, Grandpa.' He said, 'Well, I went to the grocery store, and I went to the woman behind the counter, and I said, I have this list of things. Could you help me find them? My wife has recently changed her residence to heaven.' And I said, 'Grandpa, man, you always help me to see the glass as half full.' And he leaned back, and he looked at me in the eyes, and he said, 'It's a beautiful glass.'" It is a beautiful glass. Imagine being able to see the glass, to see that it's beautiful, to affirm that life is still beautiful even after a terrible loss. This is not a Pollyanna-ish optimism. Seeing the beautiful glass does not ignore life's harsh realities. It is a fierce and heart-opening affirmation of the inherent capacity and capability of beauty and goodness and compassion and fairness in the world and in us. This outlook insists on seeking and finding the best in our lives and in the lives of those around us. It invites us to embody abundance in nature, at work or at home, whether we are alone or in a crowd with friends or strangers, whether in times of quiet or times when life is coming at us faster than we ever imagined it could. It invites us to embody abundance even in those mud puddle times. As the French-Swiss poet Jean Patissant wrote, "It is not what we have that constitutes our abundance, but what we appreciate." May we notice what already exists and be grateful for it. May we learn to see the beautiful glass. May we embody abundance and come to share and multiply it with each other and the world. Amen. Blessed be. And now if you would stand as you're able and take a look at hymn number 40, "The Morning Hangs a Signal."
The morning hangs a signal upon the mountain crest, while all the sleeping valleys in silent darkness rest. From peak to peak it flashes, it laughs along the sky, till glory of the sunlight on all the land shall lie. Above the generations, the lonely prophets rise, while truth flares at the day star within their glowing eyes. And all their eyes beholding are kindled from that flame, and dawn becomes the morning when prophets love proclaim. The soul has lifted moments above the drift of days, when life's great meaning breaketh in sunrise on our ways. Behold the radiant token of laughs all of fear. Night shall release its splendor, that morning shall appear. Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you, Ellen. Beautiful message. Thank you. Just a reminder that there'll be discussion over here after you hear the chimes, after some coffee. And this is in your order of service, but next Sunday, November 30th, from 10 to noon, we have food and fellowship potluck. There will be dining tables that include fun, get-to-know-you conversation starters, and it's all coordinated by Anna Knapp. So it won't be a usual service next week. All right. I offer these closing words. As we extinguish this flame, let us go our ways, knowing not the answers to all things, yet seeking always the answer to one more thing than we now know. Let us be searchers with our fellow men and women, adventurers in ways untrod, holding the hope of discovery within us and sharing that hope and whatever discovery may come with others.